Republicans are fighting to hold on to 5 open Senate seats in the 2022 midterm elections, following a string of retirements that includes in the reliably red state of Alabama. So far, 2 Republicans have jumped into the race there. That includes the former U.S. ambassador to Slovenia, Linda Blanchard. But it's Congressman Mo Brooks who is seen as the top contender. He secured former President Trump's endorsement earlier this month. You might remember the congressman from comments he made at a pro-Trump rally just hours before the Capitol attack. Here's what he told the crowd after referencing Revolutionary War soldiers who fought and died for their country.
Are you willing to do the same? My answer is yes. Louder. Are you willing to do what it takes to fight for America?
Brooks denies he was calling for an attack. For more on this, let's bring in state political columnist for AL.com, Kyle Whitmire. Kyle, welcome. Thanks very much for being with us. So tell us more about the top contenders and what differentiates them.
Well, obviously, Mo Brooks is this is right now his race to lose. It's a very different race than what it was in 2017. When he also ran for Senate in our special Senate election then, which Doug Jones ultimately won. You know, he finished distant third in the Republican primary. But this is very different now just because of that clip that you just played. He is no longer just someone who has the attention of his congressional district, but has the attention and perhaps the support of the whole Trump world and certainly a lot of people in Alabama.
So it's interesting. Former President Trump's previous Alabama Senate endorsements were Tommy Tuberville, who won, and Judge Roy Moore, who did not. What does former President Trump's endorsement mean for Congressman Brooks?
Well, it's unclear, and his endorsement probably, I won't say it couldn't have come at a worse time for him. But the day that President Trump endorsed Mo Brooks, we had a heck of a scandal breakout in Alabama, which I suspect we'll talk about in a second, that completely overshadowed that. The other question is, like, what is this going to mean a year from now? If the economy is suddenly a lot better, if the pandemic is over and people are feeling comfortable leaving their homes and the world's fever kind of breaks, is this going to mean any more than being endorsed by, George W. Bush or another former president? I don't think we really know.
All right, on that controversy you referenced, Alabama's former Republican Secretary of State John Merrill announced he would not run for the seat after revelations of an extramarital affair. Tell us about your role in breaking that story and what Merrill's political prospects are.
Well, these rumors had followed Merrill around for years, that he had strayed from home a lot, and a sort of right-wing fringe media outlet called National File got one of his partners in one of these affairs to talk on tape in very graphic terms about what their relationship had been. They put that out there. That sort of broke this story open. Merrill initially denied it, and she gave us a tape of a recording of her having a very explicit conversation about their relationship. I had the uncomfortable job of having to play that for John Merrill and ask him, so do you still deny that this happened? And a few minutes after I played that for him, he called me back and said he was not going to run for Senate. He is still our Secretary of State and still has plans to stay in that job through the end of this term, but he's term limited out, and this is probably the end of his career. And this is very significant because he was probably, he's the one candidate that's possibly going to get into this who had won a statewide race before, and someone that lots of people in Alabama knew and paid attention to. So this is a plus for Mo Brooks and anybody else who's planning on getting into this race.
Yeah, I can imagine that moment. just playing back that tape, Kyle. We only have about a minute left, but before we let you go, you recently wrote about Alabama paving the way for voting restrictions recently enacted in neighboring Georgia. How did the case of Shelby County, Alabama versus Holder impact these new election changes?
Well, anytime we used to have to make a change in how voting was conducted here, whether it was just moving a polling place or changing when absentee ballots went out, we always had to get approval for the Justice Department, and it was kind of a pain. And a lot of people didn't feel it was necessary anymore. And Shelby County, Alabama, sued to stop it. They were successful, and sort of made the argument that this wasn't necessary anymore. Well, we are seeing now that it's necessary. We're seeing voter suppression tactics in Georgia and other states that are possible because of this initiative here in Alabama. Sadly, this is the sort of the birthplace or the place that gave the initiative for the Voting Rights Act when it was initially passed, and Alabama has played a role in not completely killing it. Much of the Voting Rights Act is still there, but its enforcement is very difficult today, if not impossible, unless Congress does something about that.
All right, we're going to continue to follow this. Kyle Whitmire for us. Kyle, thank you very much.
Thank you.